fear about how are we going to afford to send our kids to college, a fear as small business owners, perhaps how we're going to borrow any money to increase inventory or hire more people. The barometer there, I think, is going to be resounding that our economy is hurting and we need reform to that end. 2 years ago, remember, it was John McCain who pushed so hard. He sounded that warning bell. I think that the alarm has been heard, though. He was so instrumental in bringing folks together over this past week, even suspending his own campaign to make sure he was putting obsessive politics aside and putting the country first. With the ingenuity and the work ethic that is just entrenched in our workforce, that's a positive, that's encouragement, and that's what John McCain meant. Now, what I've done as a governor and as a mayor is truly had that track record of reform, and I've joined this team that is a team of mavericks with John McCain, also with his track record of reform, where we're known by to just get the job done and get down to getting business and that's why, with all due respect, I do respect that new energy and that new commitment that's going to come with reform. I think that's why we need to send the mavericks. We tried to talk Americans into thinking that, darn right, it was the predator lenders. There was deception there, and there was greed, and there is corruption on Wall Street, and we need to stop that, and John McCain and I, that commitment that we have made, and we're going to follow through on that. One thing that Americans do at this time also, though, is let's commit ourselves, just everyday American people, Joe Six-Pack, hockey moms across the nation. I think we need to band together and say, never again. Never will we be exploited and taken advantage of again. Joe Six-Pack, hockey moms across the nation. I think we need to band together and say, never again. Never will we be exploited and taken advantage of again. We need to make sure that we demand from the federal government, and we need also to not get ourselves in debt. Let's do what our parents told us before we probably even got that first credit card. Don't live outside of our means. We need to make sure that as individuals, we're taking personal responsibility. It's not the American people's fault that the economy is hurting like it is, but we have an opportunity to learn a heck of a lot of good lessons through this and say, never again will we be taken advantage of. I'd like to respond about the tax increases, and we can speak in agreement here that darn right we need tax relief for Americans so that jobs can be created here. So voted for the largest tax increases in U.S. history. Now that's not what we need to create jobs and really bolster and heat up our economy. We do need the private sector to be able to keep more of what we earn and produce. Government's going to have to learn to be more efficient and live with less if that's what it takes to rein in the government growth that we've seen today. That's a lot of middle income, average American family. To increase taxes on them, I think that is the way to kill jobs and to continue to harm our economy. Senator, I'm still on the tax thing because I want to correct you on that again, and I want to let you know what I did as a mayor and as a governor. And I may not answer the questions the way that either the moderator or you want to hear, but I'm going to talk straight to the American people and let them know my track record also. As mayor, every year I was in office, I eliminated. We did all those things knowing that that is how our economy would be heated up. Now, as for John McCain's adherence to rules and regulations and pushing for even harder and tougher regulations, that is another thing that he is known for, though. Look at the tobacco industry, look at campaign finance reform.
Okay, our time is up here. I'm going to move on.
I do take issue with some of the principle there with that redistribution of wealth principle that seems to be espoused by you. Because they're paying higher taxes is patriotic. In the middle class of America, patriotic is saying, government, you're not always the solution. In fact, too often you're the problem. So get out of the way and let the private sector and our families grow and thrive. He's got a good health care plan that is detailed, and I want to give you a couple of details on that. He's proposing a $5,000 tax purchase their own health care coverage, and that's a smart thing to do. That's budget neutral. That doesn't cost the government anything, and unless you're pleased with the way that the federal government has been running anything lately. And he also wants to erase those artificial lines between states so that through competition we can cross state lines. Something else to another group, including his plans that will make this bailout plan, this rescue plan, even better. I want to go back to the energy plan, though, because this is an important one. That's what gave those oil companies those big tax breaks. You know what I had to do in the state of Alaska? I had to take on those oil companies and tell them, no, any of the greed there that has been kind of instrumental, I guess, in their mode of operation, that wasn't going to happen in my state. And that's why Tillerson and Exxon and Mobil and ConocoPhillips, bless their hearts, they're doing what they need to do because what I had to do up there in Alaska was to break up a monopoly up there and say that I then had to turn around as a governor of an energy producing state and kind of undo in my own area of expertise, and that's energy. There's no fear about how are we going to afford to send our kids to college.